a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Deus Ex Media.
Content and Capable acknowledges the Indigenous people on the land on which we record this podcast, the Turungurung people. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Sovereignty was never ceded. Welcome to Content and Capable, the podcast where somehow I'm allowed behind a microphone even after my crimes against humanity behind the microphone last time. Joining with me, Sam, today is the wonderful Julie, who you may know as plantbasedbirdgirl. Wow, that was the second half of that took a while to count. Welcome to the podcast, Julie.
You crushed it. Thank you.
I feel like everyone needs to pause halfway through, consider the gravity of your name,
yes.
And then just say it again.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, people of all genders, it is plant-based bird girl. Yeah.
Woo! For those who might not know your amazing work on the internet or who you are, you want to give a bit of a quick rundown?
Sure. Most people know me from TikTok, where I do a whole smorgasbord of things across, I would say my main thing is LGBTQIA representation and humor and comedy, in addition to like some feminist takedown type stuff, not taking down feminists, being a feminist and taking down non-feminist things is what I mean. And generally just being hot and chaotic, I guess. I don't there's so much going on that page.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, there are some people out there whose content is like an absolute smorgasbord. You're not quite sure, like, I don't know what they hear. Like, it's really hard to vocalize their brand. And yet somehow your content is like a complete smorgasbord and has like a really distinct brand the whole way through.
Yes!
And it's like the marketing lover in me is like, oh, fuck yes, please.
That makes me so happy because that's one of the hardest parts of being on TikTok for me is they really want you to niche yourself down so much. And like, yes, I've become significantly more gay because of niching myself. And by that, I just mean like talking about queer things a lot more than I normally do. But yeah, I have so many interests and so many things that I like doing and want to do and want to create. So I'm so glad that a common through line still comes through.
Yeah. I think it's also one of those things that like can happen like really, really organically. And I think that one of the things, it feels very stalkerish, but I've been following your content for about a year and a half now.
Wow.
And it's like one of those things, it's like, oh, you know, in the whole time I've been following you and like you've popped up on my For You page or in my following page when I get tired of the stupid shit that's in my For You feed. Or like I go and actively seek you out because I need something, need to like find, you know, particular energy or chaos that I want. It's like, oh wow, it's like not the same, but it's also the same.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. The channel evolves with me for sure.
And I don't know, how did you kind of stumble into this like amazing position to be like advocating for basically everyone?
I mean, that's a great question because I partially really don't know how I stumbled into this. My journey with TikTok started because I got on it during the pandemic when we all did, and it was, you know, we were all on our phones, yada yada, and I didn't join it to be a creator. I just had some like goofy ideas for videos. The first video I ever posted on TikTok was me voicing different cats in this cat puzzle that I got. It's very it's a lot. But then the fifth TikTok that I posted, and all of these were from my old Android phone. No shame to Android users. It was just definitely a way older phone.
Yeah.
So the camera quality and the mic quality is just like terrible. My fifth video is me telling this story that's like the story that I tell. I don't even want to be I don't even want it to be the first story that I tell, but I've become known for this story of when I shoved a tampon up my butt in 6th grade, which went kind of viral. It got a couple million views, and then I ended up with like 14,000 followers from that video alone. And then I was just kind of sitting there like, I have 14,000 followers on TikTok, like what? And I, now being at like 500 something thousand, it feels, I don't know, the numbers all feel so weird and relative. But I was just kind of messing around on TikTok after that. I didn't really know what I was doing. And then there would be times, because after I made the tampon video, a lot of people came at me in the comments for being like an idiot. And a lot of people said some really misogynist things, being like that women are dumb and like, of course, girls can't tell what hole it is and that kind of thing. And so then I started making all of these really smart, put together arguments. I think my content may have gotten a little less smart over the years, but I made all these put together arguments, defending my younger self, defending women, defending how we need better sex education. And then, I don't know, I guess people started to trust that voice a little more. And then a year went by and I wasn't really serious about TikTok. And then it was at the beginning of last year that I was like, you know what, I am trying to have a career in the entertainment industry. I have this like small-ish following on TikTok. Maybe I should try to marry these things. So then I was like, I want to see what I can do. And then it just kind of became an interaction with my followers. I listened to what they wanted, and I told a story about me being bisexual. And then everyone wanted to know more about how I knew I was bisexual and like bisexual this, bisexual that. And then the more people heard that, me talking about my sexuality and comfort with it so openly, people were like, will you give us that energy more, like more of that? And then suddenly I'm like a LGBTQ rights TikToker, which has been one of the most wonderful things of my life.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. I worked at a community radio station that is, it's the oldest community radio station in the country, and has a long history in activism and bits and pieces. So I always keep my eye really closely on different ways to do activism.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really hate, and this is what I think what drew me especially to your content, at least to begin with, was the fact that a lot of activism is like, everything's bad, we've got to fix everything, the world's ending. And it's such a negative mindset to be in that like, it's very fascinating to then shift to a really positive activist environment and go, oh wait, we can just have fun while still fighting for the rights that people desperately need to be treated like a human being.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I value people's rage, I value people's anger, and I also feel that same devastation that we feel with the world and how minority people are getting treated and just how much we're destructing the environment. All of that devastating, all of that horrible, all of that like literally debilitating when you really think about it all. But at the end of the day, I think if we are going to make our way out of this, if we are going to fix anything, if we are going to get anywhere, it's not going to be through violent anger. And I don't even know, because I don't blame, like when protesters start burning stuff down, I don't blame them for that.
I think everyone protests differently. It's one of those weird things that like everyone's expression and their anger is going to be different.
Absolutely.
And anger's really hard. It's really hard to be angry for a long period of time.
Yeah.
You get very exhausted very quickly.
Totally. But like the way you change people's mind, I feel like, and if you really want to educate someone, and if you really believe that someone can change their values or they can see your side of the story, you're never going to get through to them by being mad at them, which is like, it falls on the person, it falls on the victim to be the bigger person, which is really unfair. But at the same time, if we want to live in a better world and if we want to see a better world and for our kids to get to experience better, we have to we have to take up the tough mantle of put, leveling out all of these complex feelings and being like, this is where we are. And that there's a lot of different ways to go about doing that. And so sometimes I do get very, I don't know if aggressive isn't the right word. Sometimes I do get pretty mad on my channel, but for the most part, I like to keep it to a point where it's accessible and where someone might walk away thinking a little bit differently, just a little bit. I don't expect to change anyone's mind, but yeah, when I do get into more of my feminist posts and activist posts, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's very exciting to see people who are changing the way that activism looks. Like, I think especially, of all things, I have a lot of conservatives I interact with in my life.
Sure.
And, through things like Black Lives Matter, through things like when the Supreme Court decided that it was going to overturn Roe versus Wade and things like that, which, they're very angry moments, but it was very interesting to see actually the difference that we have had since the peak of Black Lives Matter and the latest set of protests around Roe versus Wade, and the way that young people like ourselves go around communicating why we're feeling a particular way about it all.
Yeah.
I remember when Black Lives Matter was happening, the conservative people in my life all turned around. There are a whole bunch of the same line, the whole bunch of lazy people, spout a conspiracy theory or two, and then we shouldn't take them seriously. And we've gone from Black Lives Matter feels very traditional. Everyone marched on the street, and we tore down statues and things like that. And the conservatives got mad because you're ruining our history, etc., etc. Whole other stupid shenanigans.
Totally.
But then you turn around and you have a look at the Roe versus Wade stuff, and you have some of the crazy stories of if you're going to count my child in my womb as a human being, then you can't arrest me because it's unlawful arrest of my child. And
yeah.
It's like things like that you go, oh wow, we've just clocked on a little bit smarter to go, let's pull the smart move to kind of throw people off their rhythm. The very John Mulaney says it right. Now I've thrown him off his rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, and I TikTok is such a fascinating place to be on the content side of all of the activism and feminism, because on the one hand, it's so inspiring. Especially when Roe v. Wade was overturned, and there were so many accounts that had women in states where abortion was still safe, and they were like, if you need to go quote quote camping in a safe state, you can come stay at my house and go quote quote camping, indicating that if someone from an unsafe abortion state needed to go somewhere to get an abortion, they could stay with that person. That's amazing. That's activism. That's something that would never have existed in many, 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 many years before. I mean, it's it's amazing what the internet can do for us. But at the same time, it's so gut wrenching to see how just person after person who is getting wrongly imprisoned, who can't afford their gender affirming surgery funds, and it's my whole For You page sometimes is just will you please watch this video 3 times so I can make some more money to fund this crisis that I'm in. And that's just so devastating how many people are hurting, and how many, and just and how little care there is built into our systems that people have to go on the internet and beg on an app that should at its heart just be a goofy, silly art creative time.
It is so fascinating, and as you said, for an app that was supposed to be creative, a dance app, where everyone does a weird, funny dance,
right?
And somehow we're having intersectional and nuanced conversations, and I scroll through a series of TikToks, and I think it really highlights the diversity that a short form vertical app does, like a vertical video app like TikTok, really just has that power when it's dedicated to that one thing. And this is where I get wrapped around the axles about the whole TikTok trying to copy everyone else, like, you know, Instagram, the chameleon of social media. And it is so uplifting to know that we are taking control of a technology that we've used and understand and making it our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we went deep quickly here.
We went so deep so fast.
I was just like, how do we get out of this one? Sounds like this is supposed to be at the end of the podcast, you know?
Yeah,
that's all we've got.
Yeah, sorry everyone listening, whoever you are. I just threw us into a pit.
Oh, I'm always willing to go deep quickly. But
Ready for
really
the pit.
Depends on who's. Yeah. There's a lot of chaos in your videos.
Yes.
Have you always been this chaotic?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yes. It's like when I first started getting popular on TikTok and like making a bunch of videos, people who knew me from real life would say kind of things that they're like, Julie, this is you, but this is you on like your most insane day. So like what the internet sees of me on most days is me on my most insane day. And then it's probably had some weird effect on my mental health for me to try to recreate my most insane days over and over and over again on TikTok. But in terms of have I always been this chaotic? Absolutely. I think I'm just louder about it on the internet. I mean, I was just telling this story the other day, but my sister says that she's 4 years older than me. When I came out, I came out of the womb. She has this baby sister, hasn't said a word yet. She's like, oh my God, what a precious, cute little child. And then the minute I started talking, she's 5 years old and she has this judgment about me. The minute I start talking, she goes, that child is so weird. Like, what is its problem? And like, I don't know, I would talk at a mile a minute and do all these weird voices and just try to get everyone in the room to laugh. So in a way, I've always been like this. And TikTok's only made it worse.
I love that. That's the kind of thing where it's like, it does. It makes your personality, like the weird bits of your personality, just way weirder.
Yeah.
And I love it, to be honest.
That is something that I always felt about myself in a lot of like group settings in school, in all of my education, was that I felt like I was like a little just like too weird, not like weird in like a, oh, she's funny way, just like weird in like a, oh, she's a lot way. And I'm sure there are people who would back up that statement who went to school with me. But you get on the internet, and the internet is where if you're too much in real life, you are just enough on the internet. The internet's like right on.
There are people who are willing to match your energy or even go further. And it's like, whoa, we've gone from 0 to 2,000 really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like the comment sections of a lot of your videos as well. It's like, we're going to match your energy and try to one-up you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll get some really out-of-pocket comments in all sorts of directions. But yeah, it is wild seeing. And also, I wonder how people who have only seen me on the internet, how they think I really am in real life. I wonder how that comes across.
I think everyone's got their, like, every friend group or everyone has like a chaotic friend who isn't necessarily like falling apart, but is definitely a hot mess.
Yeah.
And you're not quite sure which direction they're headed. In the end, it's always a positive one, but like, it's always like the journey between, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. That is what I bring to the table.
I have a sister who's in her second to last year of high school, and she and her friends are like, it reminds me of you. Like, it just reminds me of like her and her friends are like, I'm like, this is definitely the vibes,
For sure.
They've got this running joke about a horse named Police Horse, and like there's this extensive backstory that they've just created in their German class or something, and just was like. And so watching my sister try to recount it to our family and just not even being able to get through like a single sentence because it's so funny to her. And we're like, Are you okay? Do you need help?
That's something that I don't think enough people call me out on in my videos. I laugh at my own jokes a lot. I think people need to call me out on that more. It's like, I think I'm so funny. And like, what am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of those, like, I don't know. There are some people who laugh at their own jokes, and I'm like, that's not a vibe. And then there's other people who laugh at their own jokes, and it's like, oh, you're laughing because you just, like, it's too funny. You can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad it's a vibe.
Yeah, always a vibe. Look, you've got a couple of recurring characters in a lot of your content.
Yes, I do.
Was there was that kind of on accident? Was that on purpose to have Craig and your sister on?
Craig was a full accident. And let the record show here, Craig was 9,800% an accident. So it was Pride Month, right? And I was like, for Pride, I want something special in all of my videos. The plan was for bubbles to be blowing in the back of all of my videos. Just bubbles. No person who's blowing the bubbles. And then when we were making, so my friend, that's all I will reveal about them. My friend was at my house and I was like, will you just stand here in the bathroom and blow bubbles for me while I make these TikToks? And they were like, yeah, for sure. And so I was making TikToks. I had about 2 or 3 that I planned on making that I was like, just like happy Pride Month and just like some nice things about the gays, making fun of bisexuals, the usual shtick.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, to my friend, I'm going to improv a few videos now and see what happens. And so the last video that I improv'd in that session, I went, that's the video where I'm like, it's Pride Month. And how am I celebrating? I hired a straight man to follow me around and blow bubbles for the entire month. And then we thought it would be funny if you could hear the straight man actively like gasping for air in the background for blowing the bubbles. And then I was like, ooh, you know what would be really funny here is if I yelled at him and like he had just like a really dumb name. So then in the final moments of the video, which completely on improv, I just yelled, Craig! And that was it. That was supposed to be it. It was just supposed to be a one-time thing. And then the comments blew up. That video went insane. And everyone was like, who is Craig? Is Craig okay? More from Craig. What's Craig's deal? Craig. And so what was supposed to be this month of just like gay rights, gay love, all of that content on TikTok turned into us completely improvising this bubble blower named Craig. And he became a fan favorite. He's more popular than I am. The only like claim that I have to him is that I write most of the Craig scripts and the Craig jokes. But like, I get it. He's a star. He's an absolute star. And then it was supposed to be like, because I'm trying not to reveal too much about Craig's identity. Craig and I don't live.
Oh, Craig.
Yes. Yeah. Craig and I don't live in the same state, and this is a legitimate thing. People are always thinking on the TikTok that I'm lying about this or that I could just summon Craig at any time. Craig literally lives in a different state. Craig is not here most of the year, but Craig visits sometimes. And when Craig does, we find a way to work them into the channel. But yeah, so when Craig left for Pride Month, everyone was really disappointed, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Oops, I'm out of Craig's. We're out of inventory, you know. And then Craig happened to be in town for my birthday, so we did it into Craig celebrating a queer, which is like, it was my birthday, there was Pride Month, and we just we found different ways. So Craig was an accident. Craig, and then I definitely wanted my sister to be on my TikTok. I just like goofing off with my sister. My sister's one of my favorite people, but she has an important corporate job.
No.
I know, it's disgusting, isn't it? She has an important corporate job, and she just didn't want her real name to be super connected with the goofy shit I was making her do on TikTok. She didn't want it to be like you look up her professional name and then the first thing that comes up are my TikToks instead of her like LinkedIn and whatnot.
Yeah.
So she was like, I need you to give me a fake name. And the first name that I said was Harold. And she was like, cool. And so now there's Craig and Harold. And I think those are the main characters that show up, or they're the popular ones. Sometimes you get my mom.
Yeah. It's very fascinating because a lot of people's TikTok accounts are just them. It's not, a group of people or like a rotating cast. It's not like a TV series or something where you can kind of focus on one different person for a little while and, you've got ownership over your account and you've got both these two massive characters that the fans really, really love. Yeah. That also, like, everyone's like, when they're coming on? When are they coming back?
Yeah, I know. And the part that really kills me is both of them are such deep introverts who really dislike social media. Like, neither of them want to be doing this at all. It is because I forced them into being on the internet with me. It's because I'm that friend who's like, you want to make a TikTok? And everyone's like, no. And I'm like, let's make a TikTok. So
I wish I was that extroverted, to be honest. Like, just being able to go, hey, you want to create a TikTok? Come on.
I know people ask me, like, when there's videos where you can see my sister in the background and they're like, are you not embarrassed to be like making those noises and sounds with your sister in the background? And I'm like, no, I'm lacking that bone in my body.
Oh, never embarrassed around my family. It's around my friend. Like, I don't live anywhere near my family at the moment. I've moved like a 20-hour drive away now.
Nice.
Love them.
Of course.
20 hours away, probably good for my mental health, etc., etc.
Totally.
But it is. It's like I don't have any shame. It's my family.
Yeah.
They have seen me naked. I have seen them naked. It's a fact of like if you've seen someone naked, I feel like there's not as much like shame around the weird shit that you do.
Yeah. Also, if you just like grew up around listening to them fart, like that's like there's like nobody's protecting that from the family.
Yeah, no one, and then like, or like the memories of that time. And this is a true story, that one of your siblings grabbed a wet diaper and put it in the ceiling fan and it went around the whole room of your brand new house. That's so chaotic. I love that, but I hate it. That's terrible and I love it. Oh yeah. And I don't know, it's really fascinating. My brothers would never. They barely even want to acknowledge the fact that I run a podcast and work as a journalist.
For sure.
They're not introverted. They're definitely extroverts, but they're just like, no. We are not jumping on a TikTok or
Absolutely.
And I'm like, no. You should jump on it. I promise it'll be fun. I promise I won't embarrass you.
Yeah.
Online.
Right.
And they're like, we don't trust you. You've broken our trust before.
Well, that's the thing is I think I sweetened the deal with my sister and Craig is I'm like, you'll get to embarrass me. I won't embarrass you. I'll be the butt of all the jokes. Don't worry.
I think it's the other concern as well. It's like if you've got a professional career, like I work as a journalist, so regardless, all of my content's blasted all over the internet, so I don't really have that much privacy. But if you don't want to be the first thing that someone's, because it's really easy to stalk people online. Me saying as someone who works online, but it's very easy to kind of sit there and go. Like the first thing that pops up is like TikToks with their name in it, or content about them from their family rather than. I actually feel really bad for like child stars or like family accounts. Like that's like, I'm sorry, but that child doesn't even know what they want to do when they grow up.
No.
Like, admittedly, I don't really know what I want to do when I grow up either. But
Right.
At least I've got some agency as to where I put my name.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely. I One of my friends recently was just like, because she's trying to break into the entertainment industry as well. And she's like, I wish I was a child star. And I'm like, no, you don't. You really don't. I don't say that.
Go read Jeanette McCurdy's like autobiography.
Yeah. Oh my God. Jeanette McCurdy's autobiography was amazing.
I was driving, so I was actually I was in the process of moving, so I now live near Melbourne in Australia instead of in Brisbane with my family. And for the second day of my drive, I listened to Jeanette McCurdy's book, and I almost had to stop driving a couple of times because it was just like, oh shit,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
it
such
was,
a good book though.
wow, it's so good, and it makes me as a artist person who has a lot of different things that I'm doing. I mean, obviously there's so much other important things in her book, but what really excited me is that she talks about this worry that she has that she was always going to be known as the Disney Channel kid, and that all she was ever going to amount to, not Disney Channel, Nickelodeon kid, and that all she was ever going to amount to was being this like preteen bully on this show. And that there was one point where she really wanted to be a director for one of the episodes because that would make her feel like she was really doing something, and then they took her off of that. But like now she has this best-selling book, and she is getting to write, and she is like redefining herself in her career. And like obviously for a very long time people knew her as just Sam from iCarly, but I just think it is amazing that at any point in our lives we can completely change our genre, completely redefine ourselves, completely show a different side of our artistry, and people will like take it seriously and love it. Like Jeanette McCurdy's book is doing insanely well.
And it's so well written as well. It's one of those things where she doesn't shy away. She doesn't skirt around the fact of, of what happened to her and the terrible, terrible situations that she was put in. And the fact that she also like acknowledges that she didn't quite fully comprehend as a child what was going on. And, some of the abuses that were leveled at her, she's like, didn't quite fully comprehend until she had to go through therapy and sit there and go, oh, wait a second, this is bad. Like, it was kind of scary.
Absolutely. I mean, I just think that I think that's amazing how she did preserve that sort of level of innocence in the first parts of the book where she's telling stories from her younger years, like you're saying. I think for those of us who have gone to therapy and had massive revelations about our lives, we always want to think that we're like, oh, I knew all along that was going to be bad, or that was a bad person. But it's like, you didn't. You went in thinking the best of everyone, or you went in thinking you were just doing a good job. And that's a large part of it.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's a large part of like, as well as like some of the disappointment you get when you realize a creator is not exactly who you think they are. They're not living they're not being their authentic selves online, and you realize, you learn it, and it is almost like heartbreak kind of. It's like, oh, that creator's not who I thought they were, I just can think of, especially for Harry Potter fans, and I hate bringing it up all the time, but going, that woman, because I don't want to even say her name, it was way worse than we ever thought. We thought as children, when we read her books, we thought the best in her.
Yeah.
And as adults, we've learnt the worst about her, and now revisiting it all, like, it's just terrifying.
It really is.
Very telling as well.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy how she wrote a series that was for kids who felt left out, and for kids who felt different, and for kids who felt abandoned and unloved. That is such a large part of Harry Potter's deal, is that he was rejected by a lot of the adults in his life, and then he finds a place where he really shines. And to think about how similar that is to the trans journey, and how similar that is to the queer kid journey, and just how massively disappointing it is to probably have grown up with that author as a hero, with that book as a comfort space, and then to know that like she wasn't saying, oh, all of you are accepted. She was saying just some of you are Harry Potter, some of you are going to be rejected forever.
my friend Christina's going through the Harry Potter books chapter by chapter, and it is really telling when you go through with a fine-tooth comb of like some of the like things that are written, and you go, oh, upon reflection, that's like wildly racist, or you know, this is inherently problematic that, you know, the one house in this school is considered the good guys and one house is considered the bad guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And also,
like I get simplifying, but that's not how you simplify.
no, absolutely. And that like house elves like want to be slaves with their whole heart. That's just so messy.
Just terrible. And it hurts me a little bit because I love, you know, we grew up with those books.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we didn't, you know, experience them and enjoy them. And, you know, I was going through the end of primary school as the films were going out, which really dates how young I am. But, but like, and experiencing those books and investing yourself in that culture, and then when you come out the other side and you spend some time away and then you learn, you know, a terrible thing like that, there are plenty of other creators and people out there who we've learned are horrible people. Just look at Hollywood. You know, it really kind of hurts a lot.
Yeah, and it's sad.
We've gone deep again.
Yeah, we've gone deep again. Everyone, calm down.
Calm down. We're really sorry. No, we're not.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously you've done a huge amount of work to advocate for people who don't necessarily see themselves represented online, especially the bisexual community, and kind of fighting against bi erasure in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Have you, like, what's some of the feedback? What are some of the things you've learnt since, you know, talking about this stuff publicly?
That is a great question, and not one I don't think that I have reflected on many a time. What have I learned from becoming a bisexual advocate?
What have I learned from becoming a bisexual?
What have I learned from becoming a bisexual? Not much. I get dumber by the day. No, that's not true. Bisexuals can be smart, everyone. I make a lot of jokes about it on my channel. I'm just being self-effacing. I think I've learned that people really, 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 really do just want to see themselves seen, you know? And it's not just bisexuals. It's like every time I make a video about one group of people where I'm like, here's why transgender people are amazing, then it's like, can you do one for non-binary people? Can you do one for omnisexual people? Can you do one for demigender people? Can you do one for and it's just like, people really want to see themselves, and that is a valid thing to feel. And I don't know, I think it's interesting what we get in TikTok, because as much as we can believe the personas that we put on the internet, we're real people there. We're not written by TV writers who may or may not be bisexual or really understand bisexualism. So you just get to see bisexuality through the lens of a real person. But at the same time, I definitely turn bisexuality into a character on my channel and into a caricature of itself. I'm all just like raccoons and ridiculous and chaotic and all that jazz. Not a lot of people, almost no one understands the difference between pansexual and bisexual, which is a very fine line, but I feel like I get asked that every other day.
Look, it's not an easy difference to make, to be honest.
No.
Like it's a hard one, and to summarize it into like a 3-minute video or like a 15-second video is a bit hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. It's I look at the content that you create, and I'm like, the fact that you like, I'm still very much learning, and I'm like, the fact that you are like speak as if you know it, and even if you don't, like, it's that confidence that I'm like, I do not have the confidence to speak about those topics like that.
That unabashed confidence. Well, I went to acting school. I went to theater school. I got a BFA in acting. I went to like capital A acting school. It wasn't just like yeah, it wasn't just like I went to college and studied Shakespeare. I went to college and like did insane things in front of many groups of people on a regular basis from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. to the point where now, for the most part, I feel very numb to being watched. Not in a way that's like, not in a way that's like bad, just in a way that's like the fear part is away. I've learned that people will think whatever they want of you, and I loved my education in acting because of how much feedback there was and just how much you can realize that 20 people can watch the same performance, watch the same video, watch the same statement, whatever, and get something completely different out of it, which means the perception of who you are as a person is just kind of relative to who they are as people. So do whatever you want and be who you want and speak for what you like and what it is that you're into. I was always very attracted to public speaking and being a performer, and that was something I did throughout all of my younger years. And then I finally got good at it when I went to acting school, and by that I mean just like containing that weird, mysterious confidence where it seems like I know what I'm talking about. And in other instances, it really doesn't because I'm playing into that I have no idea what I'm saying. But yeah. I think whatever presence it is that I have on TikTok, I owe 1,000% to my Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things that like you don't realize how much of an impact though that study is. That you sit there and go, oh shit, like it is actually helping me. I'm doing something because of XYZ, and my training's kicking in. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
Absolutely.
It's the same. Like I worked in radio for 3 years, and it's the same there. Like even podcasting, content capable, part of the Deus Ex Media Network. We all sat down and did like a network trailer together, almost 6 months ago at this point, and having like 8 podcasters sit on a Zoom call who are all like there and know that like their prerogative is to fill dead air the whole time is chaos on earth. Like you don't match 8 podcasters trying to fill the every minuscule of dead air, and the poor person who had to edit this audio.
Oh
I feel
God,
so sorry for it.
That sounds
because it's like having a whole bunch of theatre students trying to do a show together, and every mistake they're all like, "Let me help."
Oh God, yeah, that's the worst when everyone thinks they're the director.
Yeah, not that we all thought we were the directors. I think also because we're all like we're really good friends. But it's very fascinating to watch everyone like try to do their default. Like I'm riding into this, I've got one thing to do, and that is to fill the dead air.
Yeah.
So we've got a continuous recording of audio, which actually is a headache to edit.
Absolutely. I know very little about audio editing, but from what I do know, it sounds exhausting.
Always. It's the worst part. Like creating a podcast, I'll guest on a podcast any day of the week. If you are a podcaster, if you have a podcast, ask me. I will be on your podcast. No questions asked. Don't even... But you asked me to edit someone else's podcast? No. Never. I'm going to have a riot. There'll be protests in the streets.
Protests in the streets just for being asked to edit a podcast. I really like that. It is very fascinating. Did you obviously you've moved to New York recently. Yeah.
Outside of, your shenanigans on the internet, what are you hoping to do?
Yeah,
I feel like everyone's worst parent or uncle or aunt.
So what are you doing with your life? Excellent question. So I graduated from acting school in 2020, which is obviously when the world shut down. So the acting died, theater died. And I will say if the pandemic hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now because I wouldn't have gotten on the internet to do all of this. Which I don't even know if I don't think we should be looking for silver linings in a plague when people died all over the place.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say that it definitely set the course of my life in a completely different direction, as it did, I'm sure, pretty much everyone. Um, so yeah, and then I was in Chicago and I was like waiting to revamp my acting career or just to like start it or whatever. I don't know. It was this weird like, is the world open? Are we closed? Are we open? Are we closed? Are we open? And then I just found there was more regularness being on TikTok. And then finally, I moved here, and my plan here is to definitely start my acting career. I guess I don't even know how to describe what it is that I'm up to. So I've been hanging out with a lot of theater people and getting in contact with my theater friends here, and I'll be going on auditions more, and hopefully, I'm like looking into getting an agent or finding an agent, and I'm hoping that having such an online presence will help people be interested in what it is that I'm doing and can bring to the table. But at the end of the day, I really am in pursuit of being a working actor. And that is like why all of this started, all of the TikTok and whatnot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that I've always been a person who's had a lot to say, and it's cool that the internet has given me a platform for that. Yeah.
It's one of those things that like you don't like. It's the same in journalism. Like, obviously, you know, my absolute dream, if ever possible, would to be a foreign correspondent and, you know, travel the world as a journalist, and that would be, you know, on TV, on radio, you know, creating packages, writing stories.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
But, you know, also like have to take baby steps in that direction. You
Totally.
know? And you know, that includes like building up a massive portfolio of like interviews and reports and stories and experience to kind of like prove to a prospective employer that I'm worth their time.
Yep.
Which in journalism is fucking hard.
Yeah. That sounds very difficult.
I've never gotten closer to quitting something than I have to quitting journalism at the end of last year.
Sure.
It's like acting, but it's like a weird elite club where like we're gonna judge you every second of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't care. But we also drink like sailors, drink and swear like sailors, and you know, but you're expected to like still remain professional while absolutely plastered.
Of course.
It's like, great, that's how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. The professional world is exhausting. I really, really, really miss acting education. I miss getting to do arts just in an environment that was in pursuit of bettering ourselves as artists and not like looking for money and what will make the most money. And I know that's how you live and survive, but my brain just doesn't compute. My brain doesn't function that way. I'm like, money? Who needs it?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I need it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's terrible because like I probably will before this podcast comes out made a TikTok about it. It's like when you first are being paid for the work that you've been trained to do at university or at college, or you know, or that you're, you know, the step towards your career, and you're actually being paid for something you're passionate about, you're like, wow, this is massive imposter syndrome, and like shit. You know, I started at a newspaper 2 months ago as of recording, and I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Like, it's a tiny newspaper in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Australia, which is the second episode in a row I've used middle of bumfuck nowhere, Australia.
Bumfuck Australia.
And,
get a t-shirt.
Yeah. It is a t-shirt.
You get a t-shirt. Make a t-shirt that says Bumfuck Australia.
I'm going to have to now.
Absolutely, with like a little map pin next to it.
Exactly. It's like the Northern Territory, one of our states, did a big advertising campaign. It was like "See you in the NT," and "CU" and "NT" were really big.
Yeah. I caught on to that real fast.
One of the greatest tourism campaigns I've ever seen, and I've
Absolutely.
seen a lot.
Yeah.
But it feels so weird to be paid for your work and to kind of sit there and go, oh wow, I'm expected to kind of like perform at a high level now because I've been paid.
Absolutely. And also it's just like, it kind of feels like did I cheat? did I cheat somehow
Yeah.
and get here? Like, how did I'm getting paid for this thing that I like to do? What?
I think the worst part was the period of time before I became employed. So I was unemployed for about 9 months. I'm watching my friends, and like I was still working at a radio station, wasn't being paid for that work, and was running a newsroom. I'm watching people underneath me get hired. I was like, this is absolutely demoralizing. Like, am I never going to get out of, this? And like I'm out now, but it was like, wow, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Don't even want to do this again.
It's a spooky feeling.
What kind of acting specifically? Are you like looking at, theatre or more TV or movies or?
I mean, I'm kind of an acting hoe. I'll do whatever. I've always loved all of it. There's parts of theater that I love so deeply, and there's parts of film that I love so deeply. In film, you really, really get subtle and technical with it, and in theater, you just get that energy of being with people on stage in front of other people. Like it's there's nothing like it. I mean, it's and you're creating this thing that can only be shared with you and the people in that room forever. I mean, even if you film it, it's not the same. It is simply not the same. The second you can rewind a piece of theater, it's a whole different ball game, because like
exactly
the whole point of theater is that you're sitting there and you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen right now. And there was confetti there the whole time, or like that person is in that costume, there's so many different things. And so I freaking love the energy of theater. It is magnetic and beautiful and incredible. And then I don't know, I also just love film, and I feel like I've had this interesting time on TikTok where I'm the actor, the cameraman, and the director and the writer in all of my videos. And I mean, of course, some of my videos you'll look at it like smash or pass and you'll be like, yeah, Julie, you did a real good job there. But I'm like, hey, there are other ones that were really planned out that I put a lot of work into. Thank you.
I think the complaint I've heard from people I've spoken to who are, quite large on TikTok, so always the one you put the most effort into that gets the least response.
Oh, it's so true.
And it's completely demoralizing because you're like sitting here going, I've poured my heart and soul into this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, no.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's there's some videos that I put my heart and soul into and they will do well, so I am lucky in that way. But I think what's frustrating is it's always the ones that you put the least effort into that do well.
Yeah.
It's like the ones that you try with, maybe will. But then it's like, I don't know, you react to a filter and suddenly that has 2 million views and you're like, are you kidding me? What, this is what we're doing now?
I was going to say, the fact that you have your own filter, I think, makes you, like, mildly famous at this point.
I know! I can't believe someone made me a filter. I was freaking out when people started making, like, fan art and stuff. And like, people, when I freak out when people just use my sounds, which it's TikTok. People use sounds every day. But then when somebody made a filter of my old bathroom, I was like, this is insane. Also, I wonder about the person who moved into that apartment after me, because I did rent it out to someone. Like, could you imagine if they were on TikTok and then they just saw one of my old videos and then they were like, wait a minute, this is my bathroom.
What you doing in my bathroom?
Yeah.
Sneaking in, setting up the pride flag.
Exactly. Or you come across someone who's used the filter and you're like, that filter looks a lot like my literal bathroom. It's wild.
Now I want to find the person who's renting off you just to inform them that their bathroom is
right.
famous.
I know. I mean, I know where they live. I know their address. I could send them a letter. I could send them a letter that's like, hey, at plantbasedbirdgirl on TikTok, wink, wink. Scroll like 2 months back. That would be kind of heinous and kind of creepy, but it could happen.
You could be creepy sometimes for the bit, right?
Oh, do I ever? That's how I felt for most of Smash or Pass, is you have to be creepy sometimes for the bit. That's what I would call the motto of that. Oh, God. Yeah.
Have there been any videos that, like, you've gone, we can't publish that?
I mean, there are videos where I'll look at the finished product and I'll be like, I know I can do a better job at this. It'll be like a transition video, or it'll be the way I worded something, or it'll just be like, this is bad quality. I don't think I've ever had anything not go out. That I think most of my ideas have pretty much gone out, and there have been some really insane ones that have gone out.
I think it goes to show like the quality of like actor training as well. It's like knowing that no matter how weird or how hard to pull off a bit is, being able to pull it off and it to be entertaining, like that's not something that happens naturally, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's largely just communicating with your audience. If your audience is in on the joke or they can know what's going on, then most times they will laugh. And so what that means for you is you have to be an effective communicator. And how do you be an effective communicator? Is you go to acting school, which I personally, I mean, obviously the acting training I did, it was insane. And past like the first or second year, not a lot of people should be there. But I think everyone should go through a little bit of acting training. And I know that sounds like hell. I know that a lot of people would be like, that sounds like hell. But the way it made me consider my effect on people and people's effect on me. And just like, you know, you hear that old acting thing that's like acting, reaction, and action. Like, that is our whole lives. Everything you do in your life is action and reaction. So you better start thinking about how it is people are taking your actions and how it is you're reacting to the actions of others. You
Always,
know?
yeah. I think we should change, like, I think States colleges, not here in Australia, but in colleges over in the States, you've got to take general ed, right?
Yeah.
So instead of like, I don't know, whatever the general ed is, you've got to do an acting class, you've got to do a comms class,
Yeah.
a science class, because why not? But it could be like social sciences or something, and then, I don't know, an English class. And those are like the 4 general eds, and you've got to do one of them.
Totally. Which that's the thing is like, mad respect to people who know how to do calculus, but calculus is not going to make people better to other people. I think what will make the world a better place is us valuing and reevaluating our own behavior and our reaction to others' behavior.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, we're getting towards the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Julie, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you on the internet?
On the internet, my God. I am at plantbasedbirdgirl on TikTok. I am at plantbasedbirdgirl on Instagram. My old Instagram was hacked into, so if you're following Julie Cat, don't follow at plantbasedbirdgirl. On Twitter, I am at yourbirdgirl. And then also my friend and I have our own podcast called Liz, which is all about gay, feminist, goofy times with my co-host Ellie Rudy, who is as unhinged as I am, maybe even more so.
Yeah, wow, amazing. It's amazing when someone else has got like, it's not a competition, but like an equivalent list. I'm like, oh wow, you know.
Yeah.
It's not embarrassing for me to be on all the fucking platforms. Has there been anything that you've been reading, watching, engaging with that you wanted to plug?
Sure. I really like the author TJ Klune. If you are a soft and queer person, if you're a big queer softie, read his books. They're so lovely. They're just like stepping into stepping into therapy, and they're gay and soft and wonderful and healing.
Yeah.
Healing is the word I'll use.
Well, you can find me at sam.the.journalist on Instagram and TikTok, and samobjournalist on Twitter. Make sure you follow the podcast at Content the Letter Incapable on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'm going to plug the song Roller Coasters Make Me Sad by Em Beihold.
What a title.
I know. It's amazing. She does really interesting, like, mental health adjacent songs. And it's one of those things I sit there and I go, oh, wow, I vibe with that. And, like, there's at least one Em Beihold song for every place I've lived that I'm like, oh, this gives me the vibes of when I lived in this particular apartment.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
yeah, it's very fascinating. Somehow I'm like really emotionally attached to like a couple of songs. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of like Walking Home in the Rain, you know. I'm a musician by like also very passionately a musician, so you know there's
awesome.
that too. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been amazing to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Content and Capable was recorded, edited, and produced by Samuel O'Brien. You can follow the podcast at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find it on Facebook. You can also send an email through to contentandcapablepod@gmail.com with any of your thoughts, queries, or concerns. The best way to support the podcast is to leave a review on your preferred podcatcher so more people can hear the podcast. The art was done by Opia, and the music was written, edited, and produced by Jason Hilton. Content and Capable is proud to be a part of the Deus Ex Media Network, where you can find a podcast for any of your nerdy interests.
Hey folks, Alex and I have been traveling, so there's no new episode today, but don't worry. There'll be one on Friday, I promise. I will make that happen for you. Our schedule's been pretty crazy, and we haven't really had time to sit down to record The Great Divide, but I prepared this little trailer for you guys, and I hope you all like it, so enjoy! Coffee, tea, honor, cabbage. Long ago, the four elements lived in harmony. Then, shit went totally cray when the Avatar attacked. Only the Cabbage Man, merchant of fine cruciferous vegetables, could stand against his trolling. But when the world needed some dank veg, he vanished. 10 years have passed, and my partner and I have started a new podcast.
My cabbages! An Avatar podcast.
A weekly show about Avatar The Last Airbender. Whether it's Sokka's new line of cologne.
Hey, look at you, sitting there on a seal. Well, now look back at me. I'm on an even bigger seal. Now look away.
D&D related antics.
You have to make an acrobatics check for that, and Aang just like unzips his pants and whips out his d20s. He's just like, I got this.
Or randomly breaking into song.
Go bending waterfall.
We'll stumble our way through the greatest show ever made, one episode at a time.
You can reach us at CabbageCast, which is our Twitter, or
subscribe wherever you catch pod.
Rotten cabbages? What kind of slum do you think this is?
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. Don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for another episode.
Deus Ex Media.